safe now.
Jack Turner's hand froze on the barn door handle.
Please, don't make
Someone
me
was
go
crying
back.
inside. 20 years alone on this ranch, and no one, not one soul had stepped foot here without his say-so. His rifle came up smooth, finger light on the trigger. "Come out." The crying
Breathe.
stopped. Silence stretched like wire about to snap.
Aim.
Then,
Squeeze.
"Please, don't make me go back." A woman's
It's over.
voice, broken the way glass breaks all sharp edges and nowhere safe to hold.
You didn't run.
Jack's chest tightened. He'd heard that kind of fear before. The kind that came from running so long you forgot what standing still felt like.
We're leaving.
"Please," she whispered again. "I'll do anything. Just don't send me back." Before I continue, hit subscribe and stay until the end.
You're safe.
Comment your city so I can see how far this story reaches. Now let's begin. Jack pushed the door open slow. Frost bit at his face. November morning, dark enough that he needed the lamp, cold enough that his breath came out fog. The mare shifted in her stall ears forward, watching something in the corner. That's where he found her, huddled behind hay bales like she was trying to melt into the wood. Dark hair tangled past her shoulders. Dress torn at the hem, dirty from hard travel. When she looked up, lamplight caught the bruise spreading purple across her cheekbone. "Who are you?" Jack kept the rifle steady. "Nobody." She pulled her knees tighter to her chest. "I'm nobody." "Nobody's got a name." She hesitated. "Anna." "How long you been in here, Anna?" "Since after dark." "I'm sorry, I know it's trespassing. I just—" Her voice cracked. "I didn't have anywhere else." Jack studied her. Hands rough and calloused, not soft. The kind of thin that came from more than missing meals. And those eyes wide with the sort of terror you only got from running from something worse than cold barns and angry strangers. He should have told her to leave. Should have pointed toward town. Instead he said, "You hungry?" Her head snapped up. "What?" "Asked if you're hungry." "I haven't eaten since yesterday morning." Jack lowered the rifle, set it against the wall. "Come on then." "Where be?" "The house. I'll make coffee." "Why?" The word came out sharp, defensive. "What do you want from me?" There it was, the fear that ran deeper than hunger, the belief that kindness always had a price tag. "I don't want anything," Jack said. "But you look half dead, and I'm not the kind of man who lets someone starve in his barn, so you can come eat or you can freeze out here. Your choice." Anna stared like she was looking for the trap. Then slowly she stood, taller than he'd expected, but so thin her dress hung loose. She followed him to the house, keeping distance between them like a skittish horse testing new ground. Jack left the door open behind him. Didn't push. Just went to the stove and lit it. "Sit." Anna perched on the chair's edge, ready to bolt. Jack cracked eggs into the skillet, sliced bread, set the coffee on. Neither spoke. When he put the plate in front of her, Anna just stared. "Go on." She picked up the fork like it might bite her, then took one bite, and something in her face collapsed. She ate fast after that. Too fast, barely chewing. Someone who'd learned not to trust food would still be there in 5 minutes. Jack poured coffee, sat across from her, waited. When she finished, she looked at him with wet eyes. "Thank you." "You're welcome. I should go now." "Where to?" She opened her mouth, closed it. "I don't know." "Then stay. The barn's yours tonight. I'll bring blankets." "Why would you help me?" "Because you need it." "You don't know anything about me." "Don't need to." Anna's hands started shaking. She pressed them flat on the table. "You don't understand. If anyone finds me here—" "Who's looking?" "I can't tell you." Jack nodded. "All right. Won't ask. But whoever's looking won't find you here. Nobody comes this way. You promise?" "I don't make promises I can't keep. But I can tell you this, long as you're on my land, Nobody's going to hurt you. That's not a promise. That's a fact. Something in Anna's face shifted. Not trust. Not yet. But maybe the beginning of it. Can I ask your name? Jack Turner. Thank you, Jack. She stood, walked to the door, stopped. There's a pump outside the barn, Jack said without turning. Water's cold, but it's clean. The door closed soft behind her. Next morning, Jack found her mucking stalls. Dawn barely breaking, and there she was, pitchfork in hand, working through dirty hay like she'd done it 1,000 times. You don't have to do that. Anna didn't look up. I know. Then why? Because you fed me, gave me a place to sleep. She finally turned. Because nobody's been kind to me in a long time, and I don't know how to just take without giving back. Jack moved closer. In daylight, he could see her hands better rough work worn, strong despite how thin she was. You know horses. Grew up on a farm. We had 3. What happened to it? Anna's face went dark. I got married. She said it like a death sentence. Jack didn't push. I've got 9 horses here. Mare's pregnant due in 6 weeks. They need feeding twice daily. Stalls cleaned every morning. You want to help, I won't stop you. But you don't owe me anything. Everyone owes someone something, Anna said quietly. That's how the world works. Not here. She looked at him then, really looked, like she was trying to figure out what kind of man said things like that. I'll stay, few days, until I figure out where to go. Fair enough. But days became a week. Anna worked sunrise to sunset. Cleaning stalls, feeding horses, mending fences. Jack had let go for months. He'd come in from checking fence lines to find dinner-waiting stew-bread beans. Simple food, good food, things he hadn't bothered making for himself in years. They didn't talk much at first. Jack had never been a man of many words, and Anna seemed grateful for silence. But evenings they'd sit on the porch, watch the sun drop behind mountains, and the quiet felt less lonely with her there. One evening Anna broke the silence. You never talk about your family. Were you close? Jack took time answering. Very. My mother was kind. Father was strong. They taught me everything that mattered. What happened? Fever took my mother when I was 25. Father followed 6 months later. Doctor said broken heart, but I think he just didn't want to be here without her. Jack's voice stayed steady, but the grief was there, worn smooth by time. They loved each other so much that losing one meant losing both. Anna was quiet. That must have been hard. Still is sometimes. He glanced at her. Yours. Dead too. Daddy first, then Mama, a year later. That's when I met Earl. She laughed bitter. I was so desperate not to be alone that I convinced myself he was good. Ignored every sign that said otherwise. Doesn't make you stupid. Doesn't it? No. Makes you human. We all do things when we're scared of being alone. Trick is learning that being alone beats being with someone who makes you feel worthless. Is that why you've been out here by yourself so long? The question caught him off guard. Maybe. Or maybe I just never found anyone worth breaking the silence for. Anna turned to look at him fully. And now? Jack met her eyes. Now I'm thinking the silence wasn't as comfortable as I told myself it was. Something shifted between them. Something fragile and new. Neither moved. Just sat there as darkness fell, 2 people learning to be less alone. The nightmare came on the 8th night. Jack woke to screaming. He was out of bed across the yard, rifle in hand, before his brain caught up. The sound tore from the barn raw and terrified. The sound of someone dying. He burst through the door. Anna! She was on the floor, tangled in blankets, thrashing like something had her pinned. Eyes open, but not seeing him. Not seeing anything but whatever had its claws in her. Get off me! she sobbed. Please, please, I'll be good. Jack dropped the rifle, knelt beside her, careful not to touch. Anna, wake up. You're safe. Don't sell me. Please don't sell me. I'm not worth it. I'm not. The words hit like a fist. Anna, louder now. You're at the ranch. You're with Jack. Nobody's going to hurt you. Her eyes focused slowly, terror giving way to confusion, then recognition. When she saw him, saw where she was, the sob that came out sounded like breaking. Jack put his hand on her shoulder, steady and warm. You're okay. It was a dream. No. Anna's voice came out raw. It wasn't. It happened. All of it happened. What happened? She pulled away, wrapped her arms around herself. Nothing. I'm sorry I woke you. Anna, please just go. Jack didn't move, just sat on that cold barn floor, close enough she knew she wasn't alone, far enough she didn't feel trapped. Long minutes passed. Then Anna spoke. He sold me. Jack's blood went cold. Who? My husband. Earl. She laughed, but there was no humor in it. Just bitterness, sharp enough to draw blood. 6 years married. 6 years of me working myself sick trying to hold things together while he drank and gambled every penny. When he finally ran out of money to lose, he sold me to pay his debts. Jack's hands curled into fists. To who? Man named Dalton. Owns a saloon in Carson City. Earl owed him $300. Her voice went flat. Dead. Turns out I was worth $300. Anna. You know the worst part. She looked at him, then eyes dry, but oceans of pain behind them. I wasn't even surprised. By the end I knew he didn't love me, but I thought... Her voice broke. I thought I was at least worth more than a horse. Something hot and dangerous coiled in Jack's chest. Where's Earl now? I don't know. Dalton gave him 2 weeks to get me ready, before he came to collect. She shuddered. I ran the night before. Took nothing but these clothes. Walked until I couldn't anymore. That's how I ended up here. How long ago? 2 weeks tomorrow. Jack stood. I'll be back. Where are you going? Town. Anna scrambled up. No, Jack, you can't. I'm not doing anything stupid. But I need to know if anyone's looking for you. If they are, we need to be ready. They'll find me. Not if I find them first. She grabbed his arm. Please, I'm not worth you getting in trouble. Jack looked at her hand on his sleeve, then at her face. You keep saying you're not worth anything. But the problem isn't your worth, Anna. The problem is you were surrounded by people too broken to see it. Her grip tightened. You don't know me. I know enough. He pulled free gently. Get some sleep. I'll be back before dawn. Jack. But he was already gone. Blackwater was barely alive at 2 a.m. Just the saloon still lit, spilling yellow light and drunk laughter into the street. Jack tied his horse and pushed through the doors. The bartender looked up. Did a double take. Jack Turner. That really you? Need information, Pete. Pete dried a glass. Must be serious if you came all the way in. Anyone been through here asking about a woman, dark hair, 30s, might have been called a runaway wife. Pete's expression shifted. Might have been. Why? Because I need to know who's looking. Jack, I don't think... Pete. Jack leaned across the bar. I'm not asking as a friend. I'm asking as someone who needs to keep a person safe. Now tell me. The bartender sighed. 2 men came through 5 days ago. Rough types. Said they were looking for someone who stole something valuable. Offered money for information. What did you tell them? Nothing. Didn't know anything. But they asked around. Checked farms on the east side. Pete hesitated. Jack, what's this about? About someone who deserves better. Jack straightened. They say where they were headed. North, toward the mining camps. But Jack, men who buy women aren't the type to let go easy. Jack's jaw tightened at buy women. He nodded. Thanks, Pete. He was halfway to the door when a voice called from the back. Hold on. Did you say you were looking for information about a runaway wife? Jack turned. A man stood from a corner table, thin, greasy-haired, watery eyes. The look of someone who'd spent more time with bottles than people. Who's asking? Jack said. The man smiled. Yellow teeth. Name's Earl Dawson. And if you've seen my wife, I'd very much like her back. The temperature dropped. Jack walked toward him slowly. Every eye in the saloon watching now. Your wife? That's right. Anna. Pretty thing, dark hair. Got a wild streak, though. Ran off 2 weeks ago. Stole money from me, too. Is that right? Damn right. You've seen her, there's a reward. $50. Jack stopped 3 feet away. $50. Interesting, considering I heard you sold her for $300. Earl's face went pale, then red. Who told you that's a lie? So you didn't make a deal with a man named Dalton? That's different. Earl stumbled over words. That's between me and my wife. She's my property. What I do with my property is my business. Jack moved fast. 1 second standing still. Next second his fist was in Earl's shirt, slamming him against the wall, hard enough to rattle teeth. Listen careful. Jack said, voice deadly quiet. Anna's not your wife anymore. Not your property. Not your anything. And if you or anyone else comes looking for her, you're going to find out what happens to men who treat women like livestock. Earl's eyes went wide. You can't, she belongs. Jack's fist connected with his jaw. Earl crumpled. Hit the floor in a heap. The saloon went silent. Jack looked around at watching faces. Anyone else want to claim ownership of a human being? No one moved. Good. He stepped over Earl's groaning form. Paused at the door, looked back at Pete. Dalton comes through asking questions, you tell him Anna's under my protection now. He can take that up with me personally. Pete nodded slowly. You know what you're doing? No. Jack pushed the door open. But I'm doing it anyway. Dawn broke as Jack rode back. He found Anna outside the barn sitting on an overturned bucket, watching the sky turn colors. She stood when she heard his horse. Jack. He dismounted, suddenly aware of how bone-tired he was. Found Earl. Anna went still. And told him you weren't his property anymore. Then I hit him. You what? Hit him. Hard. He'll have a black eye for a week. Jack walked toward her. Also, let it be known around town you're under my protection. Anyone comes looking, they go through me first. Anna stared. Why would you do that? Because it needed doing. You don't even know me. Anna. He cut her off gently. I don't need your whole story to know what happened was wrong. And I don't need permission to do the right thing. Tears spilled down her cheeks. I don't understand you. Makes two of us. Jack smiled, tired. But here's what I know, you can stay as long as you want. Work if you feel like it, rest if you need to. This ranch is big enough for two, and I'm tired of rattling around alone, so stay. No strings. What if Dalton comes? Then Dalton and I will have a conversation. Jack, he's dangerous. So am I. But I'm the kind of dangerous that only comes out when someone threatens what's mine. Anna's breath caught. I'm not yours. No, you're yours. But you're on my land, and that means you're under my protection. He turned toward the house. Come on, I'll make breakfast. Then we've got work to do. What kind of work? The kind that turns a woman who's been running into a woman who stands her ground. He looked back. If you're willing. Anna wiped her eyes, squared her shoulders. I'm willing. For the first time since showing up in his barn, hope showed on her face. Days developed rhythm. Jack taught Anna to shoot. Started with tin cans on fence posts. Moved to targets at distance. She had good eyes, steady hands once she stopped shaking. Natural, Jack said after 3 bullseyes. Daddy taught me young. Anna lowered the rifle. Said every woman should know how to protect herself. I just forgot after I got married. You didn't forget. Someone made you forget. There's a difference. She looked at him. Something passed between them, understanding recognition. 2 people who'd both learned to make themselves smaller. At night Anna cooked while Jack did repairs. She hummed old songs and the sound filled empty spaces in the house. They ate together. Talked about small things, weather horses, spring planting. Neither mentioned Earl or Dalton or the life Anna left behind. It existed like a shadow always there but never acknowledged. Until Anna asked about Jack's parents. They were on the porch stars appearing one by one. Were you close to them? Very. Mother was kind. Father was strong. They taught me everything that mattered. What happened? Fever took Mother when I was 25. Father followed 6 months later. Broken heart. Jack's voice stayed steady, but old grief was there. They loved each other so much that losing one meant losing both. Must have been hard. Still is. He glanced at her. Yours? Dead too. That's when I met Earl. Bitter laugh. So desperate not to be alone that I convinced myself he was good. Doesn't make you stupid. Doesn't it? No. Makes you human. Jack leaned back. We all do things when we're scared of being alone. Trick is learning. Being alone beats being with someone who makes you feel worthless. Is that why you've been out here by yourself? Maybe. Or maybe I never found anyone worth breaking the silence for. And now, Jack met her eyes. Now I'm thinking the silence wasn't as comfortable as I told myself. Something shifted fragile and new. Neither moved. Just sat, as darkness fell completely, 2 souls learning to be less alone. 2 weeks after Jack found Anna, she woke screaming again. But this time it wasn't a nightmare. Jack bolted from the house, rifle up, and saw them immediately, 4 riders circling the barn, torches, lit, blocking every exit. Anna stood in the barn doorway, frozen. The lead rider walked his horse forward slowly. Well-dressed, clean suit, good hat. The kind of man who made money off misery and wore it proud. "Mrs. Dawson," he called. "Been looking for you." Jack stepped between them. "Get off my property." The man smiled. "And you must be the cowboy who's been hiding my investment. Name's Dalton. I believe we have business to discuss." "We don't." "See, I paid good money for Mrs. Dawson. $300 to be exact. Now I've come to collect what's mine." "She's not yours." "The law says different." "Then the law's wrong." Dalton sighed. "Mr. Turner, I'm a reasonable man. Hand her over peacefully. We'll forget you were involved." Jack's hand moved to his gun. "Here's what's going to happen. You're going to turn around and ride away. Because if you try to take her, you'll have to go through me." "That can be arranged." Dalton nodded to his men. 3 of them drew weapons. Anna screamed, "No!" But Jack was already moving. His gun cleared leather smooth as silk. The first shot took the rider on the left, caught him in the shoulder, spinning him off his horse. The second shot went wide as Jack dove behind the water trough. Return fire splintered wood above his head. "Anna, get down." But Anna wasn't getting down. She was running not away, but toward the barn, toward the rifle Jack had taught her to use. Dalton's man charged the barn entrance. Anna appeared in the doorway, rifle up, and fired. The shot caught him in the leg. He went down screaming. "You little—" Dalton wheeled his horse toward her. Jack came up from behind the trough, aimed, fired. The shot took Dalton's hat clean off his head. Dalton's horse reared. He fought for control, eyes wild, now realizing this wasn't going to be easy money. "Next one won't miss," Jack called. "And neither will she. So here's your choice, Dalton. Ride away and live or stay and die. Clock's ticking. Dalton looked at his wounded men, looked at Anna standing firm with that rifle, looked at Jack reloading smooth and fast, did the math. This isn't over, he spat. Yes, it is, because next time you show up here, I won't give you a choice. I'll just shoot. Jack's voice went cold as January wind. Now get off my land before I change my mind about letting you leave alive. Dalton gathered his men. The wounded one had to be lifted onto his horse, cursing and bleeding. They rode out slow, trying to save face, but they rode out. Jack kept his gun trained on them until they disappeared over the rise. Only then did he lower it, turned to Anna. She was still holding the rifle, shaking, now that it was over, tears streaming down her face. You shot him, Jack said. He was going to hurt you. You didn't run. No. Anna lowered the rifle, looked him dead in the eye. I didn't run. Jack crossed to her in 3 strides, pulled her into his arms. She collapsed against him, the rifle clattering to the ground, and sobbed, not from fear this time, but from something else. Relief, maybe. Or the realization that she'd just stood her ground for the first time in 6 years. You're okay, Jack said into her hair. You're okay. He'll come back. Let him. Next time we'll be ready. Anna pulled back enough to look at him. Why are you doing this? Why are you risking everything for me? Jack looked at her, this woman who'd shown up broken in his barn, and slowly, day by day, became someone who stood her ground with a rifle when it mattered. Because somewhere along the way, he said quietly, you stopped being a stranger in my barn, and started being the reason I'm not alone anymore. Anna's breath caught. They stood there in the dawn light, gun smoke still hanging in the air. And for the first time since she'd arrived, Jack saw something in her eyes that wasn't fear or gratitude. It was the beginning of something neither of them had words for yet. Something worth fighting for. Something worth staying for. Come on, Jack said, finally picking up the rifle. Sun's coming up. We've got work to do. Anna wiped her eyes, nodded. Yeah, we do. They walked back to the house together, and if their hands brushed and stayed touching a moment longer than necessary, neither of them mentioned it. But they both noticed, and that was enough. For now. The coffee burned Jack's tongue, but he didn't care. He'd been up since before dawn, watching the road rifle across his knees. Anna sat beside him on the porch, wrapped in a blanket, despite the morning sun climbing higher. Neither had slept after Dalton left. He'll bring more men next time, Anna said quietly. Jack took another sip. I know. How many do you think? Doesn't matter. Could be 5, could be 15. Outcome's the same. Anna turned to look at him. Which is, they don't take you. Jack met her eyes. That's not negotiable. Jack, you can't fight an army by yourself. Won't be by myself. You handled that rifle pretty well yesterday. A ghost of a smile crossed her face. I was terrified. Couldn't tell. You stood your ground. That's what matters. Anna pulled the blanket tighter. I've never shot at a person before. Never even thought I could. But when I saw him coming at you, she stopped. Something in me just snapped. That's called survival instinct. You've had it beaten down so long you forgot it was there. Maybe. She looked at her hands. Or maybe I just finally found something worth fighting for. The words hung between them like morning mist, present tangible, but if you tried to grab them, they'd slip through your fingers. Jack stood. We need supplies. I'm going into town. What? Anna shot to her feet. You can't. What if Dalton's men are waiting? Then I'll handle it. But we're low on ammunition, and if they come back, we'll need every bullet we've got. Let me come with you. No. Jack. Anna. He turned to face her fully. I need you here. Someone's got to watch the ranch. And if something happens to me, you need to be ready to ride. There's money in the top drawer of my desk. $300. Take it and head west to California. My cousin runs a ranch outside Sacramento. Tell him I sent you." Anna's face went pale. "You're talking like you're not coming back." "I'm talking like a man who plans for every possibility. I don't want your money. I want you to stay here where it's safe." "Nowhere's safe anymore. Not after yesterday." Jack picked up his rifle. "I'll be back before noon. Keep the doors locked. Anyone comes that's not me, you shoot first and ask questions later. Understood?" Anna's jaw tightened. "This is stupid." "Probably, but it's necessary." He started toward his horse. "Jack." He stopped. "Be careful." He looked back at her, standing on the porch blanket around her shoulders, fear in her eyes, but steel in her spine. Something in his chest shifted, a feeling he hadn't let himself acknowledge until now. "Always am," he said, and rode out before he could change his mind. The road to Blackwater felt longer than usual. Every shadow made Jack's hand drift toward his gun. Every bird that startled from the brush had him scanning the tree line. He'd lived alone long enough to know how to move through dangerous territory, but this was different. This time, he had something to lose. The town was quiet when he arrived. Too quiet. Folks on the street kept their eyes down when he passed. Nobody called out greeting. Nobody stopped to talk. Jack tied his horse outside the general store and went inside. Old man Henderson looked up from behind the counter, then quickly looked away. "Morning, Jack." "Morning. Need ammunition. Rifle and pistol both. Much as you've got." Henderson's hands shook slightly as he pulled boxes from the shelf. "Heard there was trouble out at your place yesterday." "You heard right. Also heard you're harboring a woman. A married woman." Jack's eyes went cold. "Heard a lot of things, have you?" "Jack, I'm just saying folks are talking. That Dalton fellow came through early this morning asking questions. He's got the law on his side. Says the woman's rightful property of her husband, and you're interfering with a legal transaction. The law can go to hell." Henderson flinched. "That kind of talk's dangerous." "So's selling human beings, but apparently that doesn't bother anyone." Jack pulled money from his pocket. "How much?" $15. Jack counted out the bills. "Anyone else come asking about me or Anna, you tell them nothing. Understand? Jack, I can't get involved. You're already involved. Everyone in this town is. You can either stand with what's right, or you can stand with men like Dalton and Earl Dawson. But you can't stand nowhere." Jack picked up the ammunition boxes. "Choose careful, Henderson. You'll have to live with it." He walked out before Henderson could respond. Pete's saloon was open despite the early hour. Jack pushed through the doors and found the bartender wiping down tables. "Twice in 1 week," Pete said without looking up. "Must be the end times." "Dalton came through this morning. About 2 hours ago. Had 6 men with him. One was limping pretty bad." Pete smiled slightly. "Heard your lady friend did that." "She's not my lady friend." "Sure she's not. That why you nearly killed 3 men yesterday defending her?" Jack ignored that. "What did Dalton want?" "Same as before. Information about Anna. Asked if anyone knew where your ranch was, if you had help, how well armed you were." Pete finally looked at him. "I told him nothing." "And the others?" Pete's face darkened. "Henderson probably told him everything. Man's always been weak. Couple of the miners might have talked too. Money's tight right now, and Dalton was offering $50 for good information." Jack's hand tightened on the rifle. "Anyone takes that money, they're making an enemy." "I know. That's why I'm telling you." "Jack." Pete came around the bar. "This is going to get bad. Dalton's not just some two-bit criminal. He's got connections, moneymen. And legally, he's not wrong. The husband sold her. In the eyes of the law, she's his property. The law's wrong. Maybe, but wrong or right, he's got it on his side." Pete lowered his voice. "You need to think about what you're doing here. Is she worth dying for?" Jack looked at him for a long moment. "Yeah, she is." "You barely know her." "I know enough. I know she worked herself sick trying to hold together a marriage to a man who saw her as livestock. I know she ran with nothing but the clothes on her back rather than let herself be sold. I know she stood in a barn doorway yesterday with a rifle and shot a man to protect me even though she was terrified." Jack's voice went quiet. "And I know that if I let Dalton take her, I'll spend the rest of my life wishing I'd been brave enough to fight." Pete studied him, then nodded slowly. "All right. Then you need more than ammunition. You need a plan." "I'm listening." "Dalton's staying at the hotel, him and his men. They're planning to come at you tomorrow night when you're sleeping. Burn you out if they have to." Jack's blood ran cold. "How do you know this?" "Because one of his men got drunk here last night and ran his mouth." Pete pulled a piece of paper from his pocket. "I wrote down everything he said, names, numbers, their plan. Thought you might need it." Jack took the paper, read it. His jaw tightened with each line. "This is bad. Worse than bad. Dalton's not planning to take her alive, Jack. He's planning to kill you both and claim self-defense. Say you fired first." "Son of a—" "There's more. He's got the sheriff in his pocket. Already paid him to look the other way. So even if you survive, you'll be the one arrested." Pete leaned against the bar. "You need to leave. Tonight. Take Anna and ride as far as you can. I'll tell everyone I saw you head east. That'll buy you time." Jack folded the paper, put it in his pocket. "I'm not running." "Jack." "I said I'm not running. I spent 17 years on that ranch. My parents built it from nothing. I'll be damned if I'm going to abandon it because some piece of garbage thinks he can buy women like cattle." "Then you're going to die." "Maybe. But at least I'll die standing." Jack headed for the door. "Wait." Pete disappeared into the back room. Came out with a shotgun and a box of shells. "Take this. And Jack, if you're really doing this, you need help. There's a man 2 towns over named Clayton Moore, ex-soldier, fought in the war. He owes me a favor. I can get word to him." "How long would that take?" "He could be here by tomorrow afternoon if he rides hard." Jack hesitated. He'd never been good at asking for help, never needed it before. But Pete was right. 6 men against 1 was suicide odds. "All right," he said finally. "Send word. But tell him to be careful. Dalton's watching the roads." "I will." Pete extended his hand. Jack shook it. "Good luck, Jack. You're going to need it." Jack rode back faster than he'd come, pushing his horse harder than he should have. The sun was directly overhead when he finally saw his ranch in the distance. Everything looked normal. Too normal. He slowed his horse, scanning for anything out of place. The barn door was closed. Smoke rose from the chimney. The horses grazed peaceful in the pasture. But something felt wrong. Jack dismounted 100 yards from the house, tied his horse and approached on foot, rifle ready. He moved quiet, using the outbuildings for cover, every sense alert. That's when he saw him. A man crouched behind the water trough watching the house. He hadn't heard Jack approach. Too focused on the front door. Jack pressed the rifle barrel against the back of his head. "Don't move." The man froze. "Hands where I can see them. Slow." The man raised his hands. Jack grabbed his pistol from its holster, tossed it aside, then spun him around. Young, maybe 25, scared. "Who are you?" "Nobody." "I'm nobody." Jack pressed the rifle harder. "Wrong answer. Try again." "Thomas?" "Thomas Wright. Dalton sent me to watch the house, make sure the woman didn't leave." "How long you been here?" "Since dawn." "Please. I was just doing what he told me. I didn't mean no harm." "Where are the others?" "What others?" "Don't play stupid. Where's Dalton?" Thomas's eyes darted. "I can't. He'll kill me." "And I'll kill you if you don't talk. So choose." Jack's finger moved to the trigger. "Last chance." "They're coming tonight," Thomas blurted. "Midnight. They're bringing 10 men. They're going to surround the house and burn it if you don't surrender." Jack's stomach dropped. 10 men. Twice as many as Pete had said. "What else?" "That's all I know. I swear. Jack studied him. The kid was terrified, shaking. Probably just some ranch hand Dalton had paid for easy money. You got a horse? Yes, sir. Back in the trees. Get on it and ride. Don't stop until you're 3 towns away. And if I ever see you again, I won't ask questions first. Understood? Thomas nodded frantically. Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. Go. The kid ran, disappeared into the trees. Seconds later, Jack heard hoofbeats fading fast. He turned toward the house. Anna stood in the doorway, rifle in hand. How long was he there? Since dawn. You didn't see him? I saw him around 10. Was about to shoot when you showed up. She lowered the rifle. What did he say? Jack walked to her. They're coming tonight. Midnight. 10 men. Anna's face went pale. 10? Yeah. We can't fight 10 men. No, we can't. Jack walked past her into the house, started pulling guns down from the wall. But we can make them wish they'd never come. Anna followed him inside. What are you doing? Getting ready. He checked each weapon, loaded them, set them aside. We've got 5 rifles, 3 pistols, the shotgun Pete gave me. We'll position them around the house. Windows, doors. When they come, we'll make them think there's more of us than there are. Jack, this is insane. Got a better idea. She opened her mouth, closed it. We could run, like you said. Take the money and go. And spend the rest of our lives looking over our shoulders, wondering when Dalton's going to find us. Jack shook his head. No, I'm done running, and I think you are too. Anna stood there silent for a long moment. Then she picked up one of the rifles, started checking it the way Jack had taught her. You're right, she said quietly. I'm done running. They spent the afternoon preparing. Jack showed Anna how to load and reload fast, how to shoot from cover, how to make every bullet count. They positioned weapons throughout the house, 2 rifles upstairs at the bedroom windows, 2 downstairs at the front windows, 1 at the back door. When they come, don't fire until I do, Jack said. Let them get close. We want to make sure we hit what we're aiming at. Anna nodded. Her hands were steady now. No shaking. Jack? Yeah. If this goes bad, if they get past us. They won't. But if they do, she looked at him. I want you to know that these last 3 weeks have been the best I've had in years. Maybe ever. You gave me something I didn't think I deserved. What's that? Respect. Dignity. A reason to stand up instead of stay down. She smiled sad. Thank you for that. Jack crossed to her, put his hands on her shoulders. We're going to get through this, you and me. And when we do, we're going to sit on that porch and watch the sunrise and know that we earned it. Promise. I don't make promises I can't keep, but I can tell you I'll die before I let them take you. Anna reached up, touched his face. That's what I'm afraid of. They stood like that for a moment, close enough to kiss, but neither moving. The air between them charged with everything unsaid. Then Jack stepped back. It's getting dark. We should eat something. Going to be a long night. Anna cooked in silence. They ate in silence. Drank coffee in silence. Both aware that these might be their last quiet moments. When the clock struck 11, Jack stood. Time to get in position. Anna followed him upstairs. They took their places at opposite windows, rifles ready, watching the darkness for movement. Anna. Yeah. Whatever happens tonight, thank you for not running. She looked across the room at him. Even in the dim lamplight, he could see her eyes. Where else would I go? You're the only home I've got now. Jack's throat tightened. He wanted to say something, wanted to tell her that she'd become the same for him, that the thought of losing her made his chest ache in ways he didn't have words for, but before he could, she spoke again. They're here. Jack looked out the window. Shadows moved at the tree line. 10 of them, just like Thomas said. They spread out surrounding the house, moving careful and quiet. Dalton's voice cut through the night. "Turner, I know you're in there. This is your last chance. Send the woman out and we'll leave peaceful." Jack didn't answer. "Don't be stupid. You can't win this. There's 10 of us, and 2 of you. Do the math. Still nothing. Fine." Dalton's voice turned hard. "Boys, burn it down." 2 men ran forward carrying torches. Jack aimed, breathed, squeezed. The first man dropped. The torch fell from his hand. Anna fired. The second man stumbled, grabbing his leg torch, falling. All hell broke loose. Gunfire erupted from the tree line. Windows shattered. Wood splintered. Jack ducked, moved to another window, fired twice more. Anna did the same, shooting and moving like he'd taught her. "There's only 2 of them," someone shouted. "Rush the house." 3 men broke from cover, charging the front door. Jack dropped 2. Anna got the third. "Fall back!" Dalton screamed. "Fall back." The shooting stopped. Jack reloaded fast, breathing hard. Checked the front yard. 4 bodies. 6 men left. "You all right?" he called to Anna. "Yeah, you. So far." Silence fell again, heavy and tense. Jack could hear them out there regrouping, planning. Then Dalton's voice again, different now, less confident. "You're just delaying the inevitable, Turner." "So are you," Jack shouted back. "You lost 4 men already. How many more you willing to lose over 1 woman?" "As many as it takes. I paid for her." "She's not for sale." "Everything's for sale. That's how the world works." "Not my world." Jack moved to the stairs, keeping low. "Anna, cover the back. I think they're going to try the door." She moved quick. Seconds later, gunfire erupted from the rear of the house. Jack ran toward it, heard Anna fire twice, heard a man scream. "They're running!" Anna yelled. Jack reached her side, saw 2 men disappearing into darkness. "That's 5 down, 5 to go." "They're not going to give up." "Neither are we." They returned upstairs, took position again, waited. Minutes crawled past like hours. Then Jack heard it, the creak of wood. Someone climbing onto the porch roof. "Upstairs," he whispered, "coming through the windows." They pressed against the walls on either side of the window. Jack counted silently. 3, 2, 1. A man's head appeared at the window. Jack grabbed him, pulled him through, slammed him against the floor. The man's gun skittered away. "How many left?" Jack demanded. The man spit blood. "Go to hell." Jack pressed harder. "Last chance." 4 Dalton and 3 others. "They're going for the barn, going to burn it with the horses inside, force you out." Jack's blood froze. "Anna." "The barn." They ran. Down the stairs, out the back door, across the yard. Jack could see flames already starting to catch on the barn's far side. "Cover me." He sprinted for the barn door. Anna took position, fired at shadows. Jack yanked the door open, started leading horses out one by one. Smoke filled his lungs. The pregnant mare balked, eyes rolling with terror. "Come on, girl," Jack urged. "Come on." Gunfire erupted behind him. Jack turned, saw Dalton emerge from the smoke, gun raised at Anna's back. "No!" Jack's shot hit Dalton in the chest. Dalton staggered, looked down at the blood spreading across his shirt. Then at Jack, his face twisted with rage and disbelief. "You!" He raised his gun one more time. Anna spun and fired. Dalton fell backward, didn't get up. Silence. Jack stood there, still holding the mare's reins, breathing hard. Anna lowered her rifle slowly. Around them, 3 more bodies lay in the dirt, the last of Dalton's men. It was over. Anna walked toward him on shaking legs. "Jack!" He dropped the reins, crossed to her in 3 strides, pulled her into his arms and held on tight. "It's over," he said into her hair. "It's over." Anna's whole body shook. "I killed him. I killed Dalton." You saved my life. I killed a man. Anna, look at me. Jack pulled back enough to see her face. You did what you had to do. What anyone would have done. He would have killed us both. I know, Her voice broke. I never thought I'd be capable of something like that. You're capable of a lot more than you think. You just needed a reason to find out. Jack touched her face gently. Come on, let's put out the fire before it spreads. They worked together in the pre-dawn darkness, hauling water-beating flames. By the time the sun rose, the barn was saved damaged but standing. Just like them. As light broke over the mountains, Jack and Anna sat on the porch steps exhausted, covered in soot and blood that wasn't theirs. What happens now? Anna asked. Now we bury the bodies. Then we go into town and tell the sheriff what happened. What if he arrests us? Then we deal with it. But we tell the truth. All of it. Jack looked at her. No more running, no more hiding. We stand our ground and let the chips fall where they may. Anna nodded slowly. Together. Together. She leaned against him, and Jack put his arm around her shoulders. They sat like that as the sun climbed higher. Two people who'd survived the night and earned the right to see morning. Jack. Yeah. Thank you for not giving up on me. Thank you for not giving up on yourself. Anna lifted her head, looked at him. Something had changed in her eyes. The fear was still there. Probably always would be, but it was smaller now, pushed back by something stronger. Determination, strength, hope. I think I'm going to stay, she said quietly. If the offer's still open. Not just for a few days, but really stay. Jack's heart did something complicated in his chest. The offer's open. For as long as you want it. What if I want it forever? Then forever it is. They sat in silence for a while longer, watching the day begin, knowing that harder times might come, but they'd face them the same way they'd faced last night. Together. Standing their ground. Not because they had to, but because they chose to. And that made all the difference. They buried the bodies before noon. Jack dug while Anna kept watch rifle across her lap. The ground was hard from the cold snap the week before, and every shovelful felt like moving stone. But Jack didn't stop, didn't slow, just kept digging until 7 graves lay open in the far corner of his property, away from the house and the grazing land. Should we say something? Anna asked when they'd finished filling the last grave. Jack leaned on the shovel, breathing hard. Like what? I don't know, a prayer maybe. I'm not praying over men who came to kill us. Anna looked at the mounds of fresh earth. They were still people. Still someone's sons. Maybe someone's brothers. They made their choices. Jack's voice was flat. They chose wrong. So did I once, but you gave me a second chance. Jack turned to look at her. She stood there in the morning light, dirt on her dress hair, pulled back, looking more tired than he'd ever seen her, but also more certain, more solid. That's different, he said. Is it? They came here because Dalton paid them. Because they needed money. Maybe they had families to feed. Maybe they were desperate. She met his eyes. I'm not saying what they did was right. I'm just saying maybe we should acknowledge that desperate people do terrible things. Jack was quiet for a long moment. Then he bowed his head. Lord, we don't know these men's names or their stories. Don't know what brought them to our door last night, but we commit them to your judgment, not ours. And we ask that their families find peace even if we can't. He paused. Amen. Amen. Anna echoed softly. They walked back to the house together. Jack washed at the pump while Anna changed into the one spare dress she owned. When she came back down, Jack had the wagon hitched and ready. You sure about this? Anna asked. No, but it needs doing anyway. The ride to Blackwater took an hour. Neither spoke much. Jack kept his rifle within reach, and Anna kept scanning the tree line like she expected more men to appear at any moment. When they reached town, folks stopped what they were doing to stare. Whispers followed them down the main street. Jack pulled the wagon up in front of the sheriff's office and climbed down. "Stay here," he told Anna. "No." She climbed down after him. "We do this together, remember?" Jack nodded, took her hand. They walked into the sheriff's office side by side. Sheriff Bradley looked up from his desk. His eyes went wide when he saw them. "Jack Turner. Heard you were dead." "Heard wrong." Jack closed the door behind them. "We need to report a shooting." The sheriff leaned back in his chair. "That's so. 10 men attacked my ranch last night, tried to burn us out. 7 are dead, 3 ran off." Bradley's expression didn't change. 10 men. That's a lot of men." "It was." "And you and this woman here," he nodded at Anna. "You killed 7 of them." "Self-defense. They came onto my property with guns and torches. We defended ourselves." "Uh-huh." Bradley stood slowly, walked around his desk. "See the way I heard it, you've been harboring a fugitive. A married woman who ran from her legal husband. And when her rightful owner came to collect what was his, you murdered him and his men in cold blood." Jack's jaw tightened. "That's a lie." "Is it because I got a witness says different? Says you threatened Dalton. Says you shot first." "What witness?" "Thomas Wright. Said he saw the whole thing." Anna's hand tightened on Jack's. "Thomas wasn't even there. He ran off yesterday morning." "That's not how he tells it." Bradley crossed his arms. "Now I'm going to need you both to hand over your weapons and come with me peaceful-like. Judge'll sort this out." "We're not going anywhere." Jack's hand moved toward his gun. 3 deputies stepped out from the back room, rifles raised. "I said peaceful-like," Bradley repeated. "Don't make this harder than it needs to be." Jack looked at Anna. She nodded slightly. They were outnumbered, outgunned. Fighting now would just get them killed. He handed over his pistol. Anna gave up her rifle. "Smart choice." Bradley smiled, but there was no warmth in it. "Now, Mrs. Dawson, you'll be in the women's cell. Turner, you're going in the back." "She stays with me." "That's not how this works." "Then shoot me now, because I'm not leaving her alone in a cell where anyone can get to her." Bradley studied him. "You really are a fool, aren't you?" "Maybe. But I'm a fool who knows you're on Dalton's payroll. And I know that if you separate us, she'll be dead by morning, and you'll call it suicide." The sheriff's face went hard. "That's a serious accusation." "It's the truth. Everyone in this town knows Dalton paid you to look the other way. Pete told me. Others'll confirm it if pushed." Bradley was quiet for a long moment. Then he nodded to his deputies. "Put them both in the back cell, together. But Turner, you try anything stupid, and I'll shoot her first. Understand?" Crystal clear. They were led to the back of the building. The cell was small, barely 10 feet square, with one narrow window set high in the wall. A single cot, a bucket in the corner, nothing else. The door clanged shut behind them. Anna sat on the cot, put her face in her hands. "This is bad." "Yeah." "What do we do?" Jack tested the bars. Solid. The lock looked new. The window was too small for either of them to fit through, even if they could reach it. "We wait," he said finally. "Pete knows we were coming to town. When we don't come back, he'll know something's wrong." "And then what?" "He's one man." "He's got connections. That soldier he mentioned, Clayton Moore. If Pete can get word to him." "That's a lot of ifs, Jack." "It's all we've got right now." Anna looked up at him. "I'm sorry." "For what?" "For bringing this down on you. For ruining your life. You were fine before I showed up. Peaceful. Safe. And now you're in a jail cell facing murder charges." Jack sat beside her on the cot. "You didn't ruin anything. You woke me up. I spent 17 years in that house convincing myself I was content, but I was just hiding. Too scared to let anyone close because everyone I ever loved died on me." He took her hand. "Then you showed up terrified and brave and too stubborn to stay down, and you reminded me what it felt like to have something worth fighting for. Even if it gets you killed. Especially then. Jack squeezed her hand. Better to die for something than live for nothing. Anna leaned her head on his shoulder. You're the best man I've ever known. That's a low bar considering your husband. She laughed despite everything. True. They sat like that for a while, listening to voices in the front office to the sounds of the town outside. After a time, Anna spoke again. Tell me about your parents. Why? Because I want to know what made you the way you are, where you learned that kindness isn't weakness. Jack was quiet, gathering the memories. My father was strong but gentle. Never raised his voice, never raised his hand. Taught me that real strength is knowing when not to use it. My mother was fierce. People thought she was soft because she was kind, but she had a spine of steel. Once she made up her mind about something, nothing could change it. They sound wonderful. They were. They loved each other in a way that made you believe in love. You know, like it wasn't just something that happened to other people in stories. Jack's voice went softer. When Ma got sick, Pa sat beside her bed for 3 weeks straight. Barely ate, barely slept. Just held her hand and talked to her even after she couldn't talk back anymore. And when she died, something in him died too. He tried to keep going for my sake, but his heart wasn't in it. 6 months later, he just didn't wake up one morning. That's beautiful and sad at the same time. Yeah, it is. Jack looked at her. But I'm glad they had it. Even if it hurt when it ended, at least they had something real while it lasted. Anna's eyes were wet. Do you think we could have something like that? The question hung in the air between them, heavy with possibility and fear. I don't know, Jack said honestly. But I'd like to try. If we get out of here. When we get out of here. When? Footsteps approached. Steps. A key rattled in the lock. The door swung open. Pete stood there looking harried and angry. Behind him, Sheriff Bradley scowled. You've got 10 minutes, Bradley said. Then your friend leaves. Pete waited until the sheriff walked away, then stepped inside the cell. Jesus, Jack. What happened? Jack filled him in quickly, the attack, the bodies, the arrest. Pete's face grew darker with each sentence. Bradley's dirty as they come, Pete said when Jack finished. Half the town knows it, but nobody's got proof. And without proof, he'll keep doing whatever Dalton's people tell him to do. Dalton's dead. Yeah, but his organization isn't. He's got a brother, Cole Dalton. Runs things out of Carson City. Word is, he's already on his way here and he's bringing an army. Anna went pale. How many? Don't know exactly, but more than 10. Pete looked at Jack. You need to get out of here. Tonight. How this cell's locked tight. Pete glanced at the door, then lowered his voice. I've got a key. Bribed one of the deputies. He'll look the other way at midnight when the shift changes. Pete! Don't argue. I've also got horses ready at the back of the building. You ride west fast as you can. There's an old mining camp about 30 miles out. Abandoned. You can hide there until things cool down. And then what? Jack asked. Run forever. Better than hanging. I'm not running. I told Anna that. I told myself that. I'm done running. Pete grabbed his shoulder. Jack, listen to me. Cole Dalton isn't like his brother. He's smart, connected, and mean. He'll kill you both and make it look legal. You can't fight him. Not here. Not now. Then when? I don't know. But at least alive you've got a chance. Dead you've got nothing. Jack looked at Anna. She met his eyes, and he saw the fear there, but also trust. Whatever he decided, she'd follow. All right, Jack said finally. We'll go. But Pete will be back. This isn't over. I know, just make sure you're alive to finish it. Pete handed him a small package. Food and water. Enough for 3 days. There's also money, about $200. It's not much, but it's what I could scrape together. Pete, I can't. You can and you will. You'd do the same for me. Pete stood. Midnight. Be ready. And Jack, don't trust anyone until you reach California. Cole Dalton's got eyes everywhere. He left before Jack could argue more. The hours until midnight crawled like wounded animals. Jack paced the cell while Anna sat on the cot, arms wrapped around herself. Neither spoke much. What was there to say? At 11:30, voices rose in the front office, shouting. The sound of something crashing. "What's happening?" Anna whispered. Jack pressed against the bars, trying to see. "Can't tell." More shouting. Then gunfire, 2 shots close together. Anna gasped. "Jack!" The back door burst open. A man stumbled through, bleeding from his shoulder, one of the deputies Jack had seen earlier. "They're here!" the deputy gasped. "Cole Dalton's men! They're killing everyone!" More gunfire from the front. Screaming. The deputy fumbled for his keys, hands shaking so bad he dropped them twice before getting the cell door open. "Go!" he choked out. "Out the back! Run!" "What about you?" Jack asked. "I'm dead already. Just go." Jack grabbed Anna's hand and ran. They burst out the back door into chaos. The whole town seemed to be on fire. Men on horses rode through the streets, shooting anyone who moved. Buildings burned. People screamed. "This way." Jack pulled Anna toward the alley where Pete said the horses would be. They were there, 2 of them saddled and ready. Jack helped Anna up, then mounted his own horse. "Jack Turner!" The voice cut through the noise. Jack turned. A man stood at the end of the alley. Tall, well-dressed, with cold eyes that looked black in the firelight. He held a gun loosely at his side. "You must be Cole Dalton," Jack said, "and you're the man who killed my brother." Cole walked forward slowly. "I came to return the favor. Your brother tried to burn us out. We defended ourselves. You murdered him, and now you'll pay for it." Cole raised his gun. Jack drew faster. His shot took Cole in the chest. The man staggered, looked down at the spreading red, then at Jack. Disbelief crossed his face, followed by rage, then nothing. He fell forward and didn't move. "Jack!" Anna screamed. "Behind you!" Jack spun. 3 more riders coming fast. He fired twice, dropped one, but the others kept coming. Then gunfire erupted from the rooftop above them. One rider fell, then the other. Jack looked up, saw a man with a rifle standing on the roof. Middle-aged, military bearing, moving like someone who'd done this 1,000 times. "Clayton Moore," the man called down. "Pete sent for me. Now ride before more come." Jack didn't argue. He kicked his horse into motion, and Anna followed, and they rode out of Blackwater like the devil himself was chasing them. And maybe he was. They rode hard for an hour before Jack finally slowed. Anna pulled up beside him, breathing as hard as her horse. "Are we safe?" she asked. "For now, but they'll come after us." "Where do we go?" Jack looked west toward the mountains. "That mining camp Pete mentioned. We hole up there, figure out our next move. And if they find us, then we fight, same as always." They rode on through the darkness. Behind them, Blackwater burned. Ahead of them, uncertainty stretched like an endless road. But they were alive. They were together. And that was something. The mining camp appeared as dawn broke. A collection of crumbling buildings scattered across a hillside, long abandoned to weather and time. Jack rode through, slowly checking each structure, making sure they were alone. The largest building still had most of its roof. Inside, old mining equipment lay scattered and rusting, but there was space for the horses and a corner that looked defensible. "This'll do," Jack said, dismounting. Anna slid off her horse leg, shaking. "How long do we stay?" "Long as we need to." Jack started unpacking their supplies. "We've got food for 3 days. Water nearby. I saw a stream on the way in. We rest, we think, we plan. And then we stop running and start hunting." Anna looked at him. "What do you mean?" I mean, Cole Dalton wasn't working alone. Someone higher up is pulling the strings. Someone with enough power to corrupt a sheriff, burn a town, and still walk away clean. Jack's jaw tightened. We find out who, and we take them down. Jack, that's crazy. We're two people against what, an entire criminal organization. You got a better idea. Anna opened her mouth, then closed it, shook her head. Me neither. Jack pulled the blankets from the pack. So we rest now, and tomorrow we figure out how two people can burn down an empire. They made camp in the corner of the building. Anna fell asleep almost immediately, exhausted from the ride and the terror of the last day. But Jack stayed awake, rifle across his knees, watching the entrance. His mind wouldn't stop turning. Who was behind Dalton? Who had that kind of reach, that kind of ruthlessness? And more importantly, how did two fugitives with nothing but determination and 7 bullets between them stand a chance? He didn't have answers. Not yet. But he'd find them. He had to. Because the alternative was a life of running, and Jack Turner was done running. He looked at Anna sleeping beside him, face peaceful for the first time in days, and something fierce and protective rose in his chest. She'd been sold, hunted, shot at, and thrown in jail, and she was still here. Still fighting. Still choosing to stand with him even when running would have been easier. She deserved better than a life on the run. They both did. So Jack made a decision as the sun rose over the mountains. They'd rest one day, gather strength, and then they'd go on the attack. Because if there was one thing Jack had learned from his father, it was this: sometimes the only way to stop running is to turn around and face what's chasing you, even if it kills you, especially then. Anna stirred beside him, opened her eyes. You didn't sleep. Couldn't. She sat up slowly. What are you thinking about? How to win a war we're not supposed to survive. Anna was quiet for a moment. Then she said, My father used to tell me something. He said the biggest mistake people make is thinking power comes from numbers, but real power comes from knowing what you're willing to lose. What do you mean? Men like Dalton, like whoever's behind him, they're afraid to lose. Afraid to lose money, power, control. That fear makes them predictable, makes them weak. She looked at him. But we've already lost everything. We've got nothing left to be afraid of, and that makes us dangerous. Jack stared at her. When'd you get so smart? I always was. Just took me a while to remember it. He laughed, actually laughed for the first time in days. All right then. If we're going to war, we need information. Names, locations, connections. We need to know who we're fighting. Pete might know. Pete's probably dead. Anna flinched. You don't know that. I saw Blackwater burning, saw Dalton's men shooting everyone who moved. If Pete survived, it's a miracle. Then we need another source. Jack thought about it. There's someone, a woman named Sarah Chen, runs a boarding house in Carson City. She hears everything, sees everything, remembers everything. If anyone knows who's pulling the strings, it's her. Will she talk to us? She will if I ask nice. Jack started gathering their gear. We leave at dusk, ride through the night. Should reach Carson City by tomorrow morning. And if someone recognizes us, then we'll deal with it, same as always. Anna nodded, stood, crossed to him, put her hand on his chest right over his heart. Jack Turner, she said softly. Thank you for being too stubborn to give up on me. Thank you for being worth the stubbornness. She smiled, reached up and kissed him. It was soft, brief, but it carried the weight of everything they'd been through and everything still to come. When she pulled back, Jack's heart was hammering. What was that for? He asked. In case we don't make it. I wanted you to know. Know what? Anna looked him in the eyes. That I love you. Not because you saved me, not because I owe you, but because you're the kind of man who sees someone broken and doesn't try to fix them, just stands beside them while they fix themselves. Jack's throat tightened. Anna. You don't have to say it back. I just wanted you to know. But Jack did say it. Because it was true, and because tomorrow they might be dead, and because some things needed to be said out loud. I love you too. And we're going to survive this. Not because we're lucky, or because we're strong, but because we're together, and together we're too damn stubborn to die. Anna laughed through tears. That's the most romantic thing anyone's ever said to me. Then you've been talking to the wrong men. They held each other as the sun climbed higher, two people who'd found something worth living for in the middle of trying not to die. And when dusk fell, and they mounted their horses and rode toward Carson City, and whatever waited there, they rode side by side. Not because they had to, but because they chose to. And that choice, that simple, stubborn, beautiful choice to stand together instead of fall apart, was the only weapon they needed. Carson City rose from the desert like a promise and a threat all at once. They reached the outskirts just after dawn. Horses exhausted their own bodies, not much better. Jack pulled his hat low, and Anna wrapped a shawl around her head and face, hiding as much as they could without looking suspicious. Stay close, Jack said quietly. Keep your head down. We get to Sarah's, we get information, we get out. What if she won't help? She will. How do you know? Because 15 years ago, I pulled her son out of a burning building. She's owed me a favor ever since, and Sarah Chen always pays her debts. They dismounted a block from the boarding house and walked the horses the rest of the way. The streets were already busy with morning commerce merchants opening shops, workers heading to the mines, women carrying baskets to market. Nobody gave them a second glance. The boarding house sat on a quiet side street, 3 stories of weathered wood, with a sign that read, Chen's Rest, hanging over the door. Jack tied the horses and knocked twice, paused, knocked 3 more times. A pattern, a code. The door opened a crack. A woman's face appeared. Asian features, gray hair, pulled back tight, eyes sharp as broken glass. We're closed, she said. Sarah, it's Jack Turner. The eyes widened slightly. Jack, Jesus boy, do you know every lawman west of the Mississippi is looking for you? I know. That's why I'm here. Sarah looked past him at Anna. She the woman everyone's talking about. The one worth burning a whole town for. She's not worth anything. She's priceless. There's a difference. Sarah studied them both for a long moment. Then she stepped back and opened the door. Get inside. Quick. They stepped into a narrow hallway. Sarah locked the door behind them, threw 2 bolts, and led them through to a back room that smelled like jasmine tea and old paper. Sit, she ordered. And tell me everything. Jack did. Started with finding Anna in his barn, and ended with Cole Dalton bleeding out in a Blackwater alley. Sarah listened without interrupting her face, betraying nothing. When Jack finished, Sarah poured 3 cups of tea from a pot that had been steeping on a small table. You're in deeper trouble than you know, she said finally. I figured. That's why we're here. The Dalton brothers weren't working alone. They were muscle for someone bigger. Someone with enough money and power to own half the politicians in 3 territories. Anna leaned forward. Who? Man named Augustus Blake. Runs a railroad company out of San Francisco, but his real money comes from other places. Saloons, gambling halls, brothels. And trafficking. Jack's stomach turned. Trafficking. Women mostly. Sometimes children. He's got a network that stretches from Mexico to Canada. Dalton was one of his buyers, found women in bad situations, bought them from desperate husbands or fathers, moved them through Blake's system. Sarah looked at Anna. You were supposed to end up in a brothel in San Francisco. Blake had already paid for you. When you escaped, it cost him money, cost him face. And Augustus Blake doesn't forgive either. Anna's face had gone white. How many women? Dozens. Maybe hundreds over the years. Hard to say. The ones who go into Blake's system don't come out. Why hasn't anyone stopped him? Because he's careful, keeps his hands clean, uses men like Dalton to do the dirty work, and anyone who gets close to exposing him ends up dead or disappeared. Sarah sipped her tea. 2 years ago, a federal marshal started investigating, found him floating in the bay a week later, ruled accidental drowning. Jack's jaw tightened. Where is Blake now? San Francisco. But he knows about you. Knows you killed both Dalton brothers. He's put a $5,000 bounty on your heads. Dead or alive doesn't matter. 5,000. Anna breathed. That's enough to make every bounty hunter, outlaw, and desperate man in 3 territories come looking. Sarah set down her cup. You can't win this, Jack. Blake's too big, too protected. Best thing you can do is run. I've got contacts in China. I can get you on a ship, new names, new lives. You'd be safe. We'd be running forever. Better than dead. No. Anna's voice was quiet but firm. It's not. I ran from Earl. Ran from Dalton. I'm done running. If Blake wants me dead, he'll have to look me in the eye and do it himself. Sarah turned to her. You know what you're saying. Blake has an army. Private security, corrupt lawmen, killers on payroll. What do you have? Each other, Jack said. And the element of surprise. Blake thinks we're running. Thinks we're scared. He won't expect us to come at him. That's because coming at him is suicide. Maybe, but at least it's our choice. Jack stood. I need to know how to reach him. Where he lives, where he works, who protects him. Can you get me that? Sarah was quiet for a long time. Then she stood and walked to a cabinet, pulled out a ledger, and set it on the table. Everything I know about Augustus Blake is in here. Addresses, schedules, associates, weaknesses. I've been keeping records for years, waiting for someone brave enough or stupid enough to use them. She looked at Jack. I'm betting you're both. Jack opened the ledger. Page after page of meticulous notes in Sarah's neat handwriting. Names, dates, locations, patterns. It was a roadmap to Blake's entire operation. Why do you have all this? Anna asked. Sarah's face hardened. Because 20 years ago Blake's men took my daughter. Told me she'd gone willingly, that she wanted to work in San Francisco. I believed them because I was young and stupid and didn't know what questions to ask. By the time I learned the truth, she was gone. I never saw her again. I'm sorry, Anna said softly. Don't be sorry. Be effective. Sarah closed the ledger and pushed it toward Jack. You want to hurt Blake. Really hurt him. You don't kill him. You destroy everything he's built. Expose him. Burn his empire down so thoroughly there's nothing left but ashes. How? 3 ways. First, you hid his money. Blake keeps his real accounts in a private vault in San Francisco, ledgers that show every transaction, every bribe, every illegal deal. Get those ledgers to the federal authorities, and Blake goes to prison for the rest of his life. Jack nodded. What's second? You free his captives. Blake's got a warehouse on the San Francisco docks where he keeps women before moving them. Maybe 20 there right now. You get them out, get them somewhere safe, you destroy his supply chain. And third, Sarah smiled cold and sharp. You make him afraid. Men like Blake think they're untouchable. You show him he's not you, break his power. Because power isn't real, it's just the story everyone agrees to believe. Change the story, you change everything. Anna looked at Jack. This is insane. Yeah. We could die. Probably. But we're doing it anyway. Yeah. Anna laughed a little wild. All right then. Let's burn it down. Sarah gave them 2 days to rest and plan. She fed them, let them sleep in a locked room upstairs, and brought them clothes that didn't look like they'd been worn by fugitives. Jack studied the ledger until he had Blake's patterns memorized. Anna practiced loading and unloading Jack's spare pistol until she could do it blind. On the 3rd morning, Sarah woke them before dawn. There's a supply wagon leaving for San Francisco in an hour. Driver owes me. He'll hide you in the back, get you past the checkpoints. After that, you're on your own. Jack clasped her hand. Thank you, Sarah, for everything. Thank me by surviving. And Jack? She held his hand tighter. When you get those ledgers, you make copies. Send one set to the federal marshal in Sacramento, one set to the newspapers, one set to me. Blake can't bury them all. I will. Sarah turned to Anna. You're stronger than you know. Don't forget that when things get hard. I won't. They left through the back door as the sun started to rise. The wagon waited in the alley, driven by a Chinese man who nodded once, but didn't speak. Jack helped Anna into the back, climbed in after her, and they buried themselves under sacks of grain. The wagon lurched forward. For the next 8 hours, they lay in darkness, breathing dust, feeling every bump in the road. Twice, they stopped at checkpoints. Jack heard voices, heard men asking questions, heard the driver respond in broken English. Each time his hand found his gun. Each time the wagon moved on. When they finally stopped and the driver pulled back the sacks, twilight had fallen. San Francisco, the driver said. Good luck. They climbed out stiff and sore. The driver pointed down a street and drove away without another word. Jack oriented himself using Sarah's notes. Warehouse is 3 blocks south near the docks. Blake's house is north in the wealthy district. Vaults in a bank on Montgomery Street. We should start with the warehouse, Anna said. Free the women first. That'll alert Blake. I don't care. Those women have been waiting long enough. Jack looked at her. This woman, who'd been bought and sold and hunted, now ready to risk everything for others, in the same position. His chest tightened with something that felt like pride and fear mixed together. All right, we do the warehouse first, but we need weapons. And help. Where do we get either? Jack thought about it. Clayton Moore, the soldier who helped us in Blackwater. If he survived, he might still be around. And if anyone knows how to raid a warehouse, it's an ex-soldier. They found Clayton 2 hours later in a tavern near the docks, drinking whiskey and playing cards. When he saw Jack, he stood slowly. Heard you were dead, Clayton said. Heard that a lot lately. Also heard, there's $5,000 on your head. Jack's hand moved toward his gun. You planning to collect? Clayton smiled. If I was you'd already be dead. Sit down, Turner. Your money's no good here. They sat. Jack explained what they needed. Clayton listened, expression unchanging, then whistled low. You're planning to raid Augustus Blake's operation. Just the 3 of us. 4 if you're in. Why would I be in? Because Sarah Chen said you're a man who fights for what's right, not what's profitable. And because freeing 20 enslaved women is about as right as it gets. Clayton was quiet for a long moment. Then he drained his whiskey and stood. All right. I'm in. But we do this smart. Military style. We plan, we prepare, and we don't take unnecessary risks. Agreed. We'll need more men. I know 3 others, good men, former soldiers looking for work that doesn't involve killing for killers. Clayton pulled out a pocket watch. It's 9 now. I can have them here by midnight. We plan tonight, hit the warehouse tomorrow at dawn when Blake's guards are tired and sloppy. Jack nodded. What do we do until midnight? We scout. I want to see this warehouse, count guards, find weak points. Come on. They walked through San Francisco's darkening streets, Anna, between Jack and Clayton. The city was bigger than Blackwater, louder, more anonymous. They could disappear here if they wanted. But disappearing wasn't the plan. The warehouse sat on a quiet dock, 3 stories of brick and timber, with few windows. 2 guards stood outside the main entrance, armed with rifles. More guards visible through windows on the upper floors. 6 guards minimum, Clayton murmured. Maybe more inside. Building's old, probably built before the fire of '51. Bricks solid, but the wood's rotting. Windows are barred, but not reinforced. How do we get in? Anna asked. We don't. We draw them out. Clayton pointed to a building across the street. We position sharpshooters there and there. Create a distraction at the front, guards come running. We hit them hard and fast. Meanwhile, Jack and Anna go in the back. Get the women, get them out before Blake's reinforcements arrive. How long do we have? 10 minutes, maybe 15. After that, we're fighting the whole city. Jack looked at the warehouse, thought about the women inside, thought about Anna standing beside him ready to fight for strangers because she knew what it felt like to be trapped. All right, he said. We do it your way. They met Clayton's men at midnight in an abandoned building near the docks. 3 of them, all former soldiers, all hard-eyed and competent. Clayton explained the plan. Nobody objected. They'd done this kind of thing before in different wars for different reasons. One thing, Jack said when Clayton finished. We go in to free the women, not to kill guards. We shoot only if we have to. One of Clayton's men, a big Irishman named Finn, spoke up. These guards are keeping women prisoner. Why show mercy? Because some of them might not know what they're guarding. Because unnecessary killing makes us no better than Blake. And because I said so. Jack met each man's eyes. Anyone has a problem with that, leave now. Nobody moved. Good. We move at dawn. Get some rest. Jack and Anna found a corner away from the others. They sat close, shoulders touching. You scared? Anna asked. Terrified. Me too. Good. Fear keeps you sharp. Jack took her hand. Whatever happens tomorrow, I want you to know these last few weeks with you have been the best of my life. You gave me a reason to be more than just a man hiding on a ranch. Anna squeezed his hand. You gave me a reason to believe I was worth more than $300. You were always worth more. You just needed someone who wasn't blind to see it. They sat in silence for a while, holding hands in the darkness, storing up this moment of peace before the violence to come. When dawn broke cold and gray over San Francisco, they were ready. Clayton positioned his sharpshooters across from the warehouse. Finn and the other 2 soldiers took positions near the front entrance. Jack and Anna circled to the back, where a rusted door hung loose on its hinges. On my signal, Clayton said quietly. Everyone had a small whistle. 3 short blasts would start the operation. Jack pressed against the wall beside the back door, Anna beside him. His heart hammered. This was it. No going back now. Clayton's whistle pierced the morning air. 3 short blasts. Finn kicked in the front door. Gunfire erupted. Guards shouted. Clayton's sharpshooters fired precise and deadly. Jack pushed through the back door. The hallway was dark and narrow. He moved fast, Anna behind him, heading toward the sound of women's voices. 3rd floor, Sarah had said. That's where Blake kept them locked up. They took the stairs 2 at a time. A guard appeared at the top. Jack hit him with the rifle butt before the man could raise his weapon. The guard crumpled. Jack, Anna pointed at a heavy door at the end of the hall. Barred from outside. Padlocked. Jack shot the lock off. The door swung open. 20 women stared at them from a room that stank of fear and unwashed bodies. Young and old, different colors, different faces, all wearing the same expression, hope mixed with terror at being disappointed again. We're here to get you out, Jack said. But we need to move fast. Can you walk? Most nodded. A few looked too weak to stand. Anna pushed past Jack. Went to the weakest ones. Lean on me. We're leaving together. Nobody gets left behind. The women started moving. Slow at first, then faster as they realized this wasn't a trick. Jack led them down the stairs. Finn appeared at the bottom, blood on his sleeve but grinning. Front's clear. Clayton's covering the street. They emerged into morning light. The women flinched at the sun like they hadn't seen it in months. Some probably hadn't. Clayton waved them forward. Wagons coming. We load them up, get them to the church on Market Street. Nuns there will hide them. A wagon rumbled up, driven by one of Clayton's men. They loaded the women quickly. Some were crying, some were silent. All of them looked at Jack and Anna like they were seeing angels. Go, Jack told the driver. Fast as you can. The wagon pulled away. Clayton clapped Jack's shoulder. We did it. First part's done. Now comes the hard part. Which is making sure Blake pays for what he's built. Anna looked at the warehouse, now empty of its human cargo, but full of evidence. "We burn it." "Not yet. First we search it. Sarah said Blake keeps duplicate records here, shipping manifests, buyer lists, everything. We find those, we've got him." They searched for an hour while Clayton's men kept watch. Found exactly what Sarah promised, a whole filing cabinet full of Blake's sins written in his own hand. Names of buyers, prices paid, routes used. Enough evidence to hang him 100 times over. Jack loaded everything into sacks. "Clayton, can you get this to the federal marshal? Consider it done. And make copies. Send them to newspapers, politicians, anyone who'll listen. You're not coming. No. Anna and I have one more stop to make." Clayton studied him. "The vault. You're going after his money. And then we're going after him. That's suicide. Maybe. But it's our suicide." Jack extended his hand. "Thank you, Clayton. For everything." Clayton shook it. "Good luck, Turner. You're going to need it." They parted ways as the sun climbed higher. Clayton and his men disappeared into the city with their evidence. Jack and Anna turned north toward the financial district, toward Blake's vault, toward the end of this one way or another. "You ready?" Jack asked. Anna checked her pistol. "As I'll ever be. If this goes wrong, it won't. But if it does, then we go down fighting. Together." She looked at him. "I'm not afraid anymore, Jack. For the first time in my life, I'm not afraid, because I know that no matter what happens, I'm not alone." Jack pulled her close, kissed her hard. "I love you." "I love you too. Now let's go rob a bank." They walked through San Francisco's morning streets, two people who'd been hunted and hated and marked for death, now walking straight into the heart of their enemy's power. Not because they were brave, but because they were done being afraid. And sometimes that's the same thing. The bank stood tall and imposing on Montgomery Street, all marble columns and brass fixtures designed to make people feel small. Jack and Anna walked up the steps like they belonged there, like they weren't fugitives with a bounty on their heads walking into the belly of the beast. Inside, clerks worked behind caged windows. A guard stood near the entrance, hand resting on his pistol. Everything was quiet, orderly, civilized, the kind of place where violence seemed impossible. Jack approached the nearest clerk. "I need to access a private vault." The clerk looked up. "Name, Augustus Blake. I'm his associate." The clerk's expression changed slightly, not much, but enough. Blake's name carried weight here. "Mr. Blake didn't notify us of any withdrawals." "It's not a withdrawal, just an inspection. He sent me to verify certain documents. I'll need authorization." Jack leaned closer, lowered his voice. "Blake doesn't like his business discussed in public spaces. You want to send a telegram asking permission, you go ahead. But when he finds out you delayed his affairs because you wanted paperwork, I wouldn't want to be you." The clerk paled. Everyone knew Blake's reputation. I suppose a brief inspection would be acceptable, but you'll need to be accompanied." "Fine, let's go." The clerk led them through a door behind the cages, down a staircase into the basement. Stone walls, gas lamps, the smell of earth and old paper. Another guard stood at the bottom, bigger than the one upstairs. "These folks are here for the Blake vault," the clerk said nervously. The guard looked them over. "Both of them. Mr. Blake's orders," Jack said smoothly. "Lady's a bookkeeper. She does the actual verification." The guard grunted, led them down a corridor lined with vault doors, stopped at one marked with a brass plate, "A. Blake, Private." "You got 15 minutes, the guard said. "Then I come get you." "Understood." The guard unlocked the door with a key from his belt. It swung open heavy, revealing a small room lined with filing cabinets and strong boxes. Jack and Anna stepped inside. The door closed behind them with a sound like a coffin ceiling. They moved fast. Anna started on the filing cabinets while Jack opened the strong boxes. Cash and some thousands of dollars in neat stacks. But it was the papers they wanted, The ledgers showing every bribe Blake had paid every politician he owned, every crime he'd committed. "Jack," Anna whispered. She held up a ledger. "This one has dates and amounts going back 15 years. Payments to judges, sheriffs, even a congressman. Take it. Take everything." They filled a satchel with ledgers and documents, moving as quietly as they could. Jack checked his pocket watch. 12 minutes had passed. "We need to go." Anna grabbed one more ledger. "Wait, this one's different. It's got names. Women's names. And prices." Jack looked. Felt sick. Page after page of women where Blake had acquired them, how much he'd paid, where he'd sent them. At the bottom of one page, he saw it. Anna Dawson. Purchased from E. Dawson via J. Dalton. Price $300. Destination Pacific House, San Francisco. Anna stared at her own name. Her hand shook. "I was just a line item, just inventory." "You were never that." Blake saw a commodity, but he was wrong. Jack closed the ledger and put it in the satchel. "Come on, we've got what we need." They knocked on the door. The guard opened it, led them back upstairs. The clerk barely looked at them as they passed. They were almost to the front door when it opened, and a man walked in. Tall, 50s, expensive suit, silver hair combed back, eyes that calculated the value of everything they landed on. Augustus Blake. He stopped when he saw them. For a moment, nobody moved. Then Blake smiled. "Jack Turner. And the infamous Anna Dawson. I have to say, I didn't expect you to walk right into my hands." Jack's hand moved toward his gun. "I wouldn't." Blake nodded slightly. The guard by the door drew his weapon. So did the one who'd led them to the vault. "You're outnumbered, outgunned, and holding a satchel full of my private property." "These ledgers are evidence of human trafficking," Jack said. "They're going to the federal marshal." "Are they? Because from where I'm standing, they're about to be returned to my vault, and you're about to disappear." Blake walked closer. "Do you have any idea how much trouble you've caused me? The Dalton brothers were valuable assets. That warehouse represented years of investment, and those women you freed, each one represents lost profit. You talk about human beings like they're cattle." Anna said, her voice steady, despite the guns pointed at them. Blake looked at her properly for the first time. "Mrs. Dawson, you've been remarkably difficult to acquire. Your husband assured me you'd be compliant. Instead, you've cost me approximately $15,000 in damages. I'm going to need to recoup that loss." "She's not for sale," Jack said. "Everything's for sale, Mr. Turner. That's the fundamental truth of the world. People, loyalty, justice, all of it has a price. You just need to find it." "Not everyone." "No." Blake's smile widened. "I'll make you a deal. Give me the satchel and the woman, and I'll let you walk out of here alive. You can even keep the $5,000 I put on your head. Consider it severance pay." "No deal." "Then you're both dead. Simple as that." Jack looked at Anna. Saw the fear in her eyes, but also determination. They'd come too far to give up now. "There's a third option," Jack said. "Which is?" "Clayton Moore and his men delivered copies of your ledgers to the federal marshal an hour ago. Right about now, they're also being delivered to every major newspaper in California. By tomorrow morning, everyone will know exactly what kind of monster you are." Blake's smile faltered. "You're bluffing." "Am I?" "Your warehouse is empty. The women are safe. And the evidence is already in federal hands. You've lost Blake. You just don't know it yet." Blake's face went hard. "Then I've got nothing to lose. Kill them both." The guards raised their weapons. Anna pulled her pistol and fired. The guard by the door went down. Jack drew and shot the other guard in the leg. The man fell screaming. Blake dove behind a marble pillar. "Run!" Jack grabbed Anna's hand and they sprinted for the door. Bullets chased them. Marble chips exploded. A clerk screamed. They burst onto the street. Behind them, Blake shouted orders. More guards would come. They had minutes at best. This way. Anna pulled Jack into an alley. They ran hard, dodging between buildings, taking turns at random. Behind them, voices shouted. Whistles blew. Jack's lungs burned. His side ached. But he kept running because stopping meant dying. They emerged on a busy street. Anna pulled him into a crowd of morning shoppers. They walked fast, but not running now. Just two more people in a city full of people. "Where do we go?" Anna gasped. "The church. Where Clayton took the women. It's sanctuary." They made it 6 more blocks before Jack heard horses behind them. He turned, saw Blake on horseback with a dozen armed men. "There," Blake pointed. "Don't let them escape." Jack and Anna ran again. The church was close, 3 blocks, maybe 4. They could make it. A bullet hit the wall beside Jack's head. 2 blocks. Anna stumbled. Jack caught her. "You hurt." "No, keep going." 1 block. The church loomed ahead. Stone walls, heavy wooden doors. Safety. They hit the steps running. Jack pounded on the door. "Sanctuary. We claim sanctuary." The door opened. A nun stood there, elderly but sharp-eyed. She took one look at them, at Blake's men approaching, and pulled them inside. The door slammed shut. Bolts slid home. Jack and Anna collapsed on the floor, breathing hard. Around them, the women they'd freed that morning stared with wide eyes. Outside, Blake's voice rang out. "Open this door. Those 2 are fugitives." The elderly nun walked to the door, spoke through it without opening. "This is consecrated ground. You have no authority here. I have the authority of the law. Then bring the law. Real law. Federal marshals, not bought sheriffs." The nun's voice was steel-wrapped in silk. "Until then, these people are under the protection of God and His church. You'll have to kill me to get them." Silence. Then Blake's voice again, colder. "This isn't over." "Perhaps not. But today it is." The sound of horses. Blake and his men leaving. The nun turned to Jack and Anna. "I'm Sister Mary Catherine. I believe you're the ones who freed these women." Jack nodded, still trying to catch his breath. "Then you've earned your sanctuary. Come, we have food and water. You look half dead." She led them to a back room where the women sat in small groups drinking soup, wearing clean clothes donated by the parish. They looked different than they had that morning, still scared, still scarred, but with something new in their eyes. Hope. One of them approached Anna. Young, maybe 20. "Thank you. I don't know how to say it right, but thank you. I thought I'd die in that place." Anna took her hand. "What's your name?" "Margaret." "Margaret, you're safe now, and you're going to stay safe. But Blake, he'll keep coming." "No." Anna's voice was firm. "He won't, because we've destroyed everything he built, and even if he tries to rebuild, people know now. They know what he is. He can't hide anymore." Jack watched Anna comfort the young woman and felt something shift in his chest. This was why they'd fought. Not for revenge, not even for justice, but for this, for giving people a chance to be more than what others had tried to make them. Sister Mary Catherine brought them bread and cheese. "The federal marshal was here an hour ago. Your friend Clayton delivered quite a package. The marshal's gathering evidence right now. By tonight, warrants will be issued for Blake's arrest." "Will they stick?" Jack asked. "Blake's got powerful friends." "He did. But his friends prefer winners to losers. And Mr. Blake is about to lose everything." The nun smiled grimly. "I've lived in this city 40 years. I know how power works. Once Blake's exposure is complete, his allies will abandon him faster than rats leaving a sinking ship. And us. We're still wanted. The marshal wants to speak with you, but as witnesses, not prisoners. Clayton vouched for you. Told them everything." Sister Mary Catherine paused. "He also told them you could have run. Could have saved yourselves. But you chose to free those women instead. That counts for something." Anna looked at Jack. "We might actually survive this." Don't sound so surprised. I am surprised. A month ago, I was sleeping in a barn waiting to die. Now I'm sitting in a church having destroyed a criminal empire. She laughed a little wild. How does this even happen? You decide you're worth more than what people say you're worth. Then you fight for it. Jack took her hand. And you don't do it alone. They spent the night in the church. In the morning, the federal marshal came, a serious man named Garrett, who asked questions and took notes. Jack and Anna told him everything, showed him the ledgers they'd taken from Blake's vault. This is enough to put Blake away for life, Garrett said. Multiple counts of human trafficking, bribery, corruption. And that's just what I can prove from these documents. What about us? Anna asked. The charges. Self-defense claims check out. Multiple witnesses confirm Blake's men attacked first in Blackwater. The sheriff there was dirty, that's established fact now. And your actions yesterday freed 23 women from illegal captivity. Garrett closed his notebook. Far as I'm concerned, you're heroes, not criminals. Jack felt something unclench in his chest. We're free to go. You're free, but I'd advise laying low for a few weeks. Blake still has some men out there who might not have heard he's finished. Give us time to round them up. They left the church that afternoon, walked through San Francisco's streets without fear for the first time. Nobody chased them. Nobody pointed guns. They were just two people walking in the sun. What now? Anna asked. Now we go home. To the ranch. If you want. Or somewhere else. Anywhere you want. Jack stopped walking, turned to face her. Anna, these last weeks you've become everything to me. More than I knew I needed. More than I thought I deserved. And I know we've been running and fighting and barely had time to breathe, but... Jack. Let me finish. I want to build a life with you. Not because you need protecting. Not because I saved you or you saved me. But because I love you. Because you make me want to be better. Because when I think about the future, you're in every part of it. Anna's eyes filled with tears. Are you asking what I think you're asking? I'm asking if you'll marry me. If you'll take a chance on a stubborn cowboy who lives too far from town and doesn't talk much and has absolutely no idea how to do this right. You're doing it perfectly. Anna put her hands on his face. Yes. Yes, I'll marry you. I'll build a life with you. I'll take every chance with you because you're the best bet I ever made. Jack kissed her there on the street, and people walked around them, and somewhere in the distance, bells were ringing, and for the first time in longer than he could remember, everything felt right. They were married a week later in the same church where they'd claimed sanctuary. Sister Mary Catherine performed the ceremony. Clayton Moore stood as Jack's witness. Margaret, the young woman Anna had comforted, stood as Anna's. The 23 freed women filled the pews, and when Jack and Anna exchanged vows, every one of them cried. I promise to stand with you, Jack said, holding Anna's hands. Not above you or behind you, but beside you, through whatever comes, for as long as we both live. I promise to be your partner. Anna said, her voice steady and sure. Not your burden or your property, but your equal, your friend, your love, always. They rode back to the ranch 2 days later. The barn still bore scorch marks from the fire. Bullet holes pocked the walls. But the house stood. The horses grazed. The land waited. It's going to take work, Jack said, surveying the damage. Good thing we're not afraid of work. They spent the next month repairing what had been broken. Replaced burned boards, fixed the bullet damage, replanted the kitchen garden that had been trampled. Slowly, the ranch came back to life, and slowly, so did they. Anna's nightmares came less frequently. The fear that had lived in her eyes for so long faded, replaced by something stronger. She learned to laugh again. Really laugh, the kind that came from deep in the belly and couldn't be faked. Jack learned to let people close. Started going into town more often. Made friends with the new sheriff, an honest man named Cooper, who'd replaced the corrupt Bradley. Even accepted an invitation to dinner at Pete's house, where the bartender introduced him to his family, and nobody mentioned the bloodshed, or the running, or the fear. 6 months after they returned, Anna told Jack she was pregnant. He was fixing fence in the north pasture when she came walking across the field, picking her way through the grass, one hand on her belly. "Jack?" He looked up, saw her face, dropped the hammer. "What's wrong?" "Nothing's wrong." She smiled. "Everything's right. We're having a baby." Jack's legs went weak. He sat down hard in the grass. "A baby." "Yes." Are you happy about this?" Anna laughed and sat beside him. "I'm terrified, and thrilled, and so happy I could cry. All at the same time." Jack put his hand on her belly. Nothing to feel yet, but he could imagine it. A child. Their child. A life they'd made together. "I don't know how to be a father," he said quietly. "And I don't know how to be a mother. So we'll figure it out together. Same way we've figured out everything else." The baby came in early spring. A girl with Anna's dark hair and Jack's stubborn chin. They named her Hope. The first time Jack held his daughter, something in him broke open and reformed. All the walls he'd built, all the distance he'd kept, none of it mattered anymore. This tiny person depending on him changed everything. "She's perfect," he whispered. Anna smiled from the bed, exhausted but glowing. "She is. Thank you." "For what?" "For not giving up. On yourself. On me. On us." Jack looked at his wife and daughter and felt his throat tighten. "A year ago, I was alone on this ranch, thinking that was enough. Thinking that was all I deserved. And now you're stuck with us. Best trap I ever walked into." They raised Hope in the house Jack's parents had built, taught her to ride before she could read, taught her to shoot before she could write, taught her that strength came from knowing when to fight and when to show mercy. On Hope's 5th birthday, Margaret came to visit with her own child. She'd married a good man, started a seamstress business in Sacramento, and built a life that had nothing to do with the darkness she'd escaped. "I wanted Hope to have this," Margaret said, handing Anna a quilt. "I made it. Every stitch is a thank you for what you did, what you both did." Anna unfolded the quilt. It was beautiful, intricate patterns, bold colors. In one corner, embroidered in gold thread, "From darkness to light, from fear to freedom, with gratitude eternal." "It's beautiful," Anna breathed. "You gave me my life back. This is just cloth, but it's all I have to give." "It's more than enough." They spread the quilt on Hope's bed that night. The little girl ran her fingers over the stitching. "Mama, why did that lady make this for me?" Anna sat on the edge of the bed. "Because a long time ago your father and I helped her when she needed it, and she wanted to say thank you. Were you scared?" "Very scared." "But you did it anyway." "Yes." "Why?" Anna looked at Jack standing in the doorway, then back at her daughter. "Because some things are worth being scared for. Some people are worth fighting for. And sometimes doing the right thing means doing the hard thing." Hope thought about this. "Am I worth fighting for?" "You are worth everything." Anna kissed her forehead. "Don't ever forget that. No matter what anyone tells you, you are worth everything." The years passed the way they do, sometimes fast, sometimes slow, but always forward. Hope grew. The ranch prospered. Jack and Anna grew older together, adding laugh lines and gray hair, and the comfortable rhythms of a life well lived. On their 25th anniversary, they sat on the same porch where they'd first talked, where Anna had asked if she could stay, where Jack had said yes. "Do you ever regret it?" Anna asked. "Everything that happened, everything we went through." Jack thought about it, thought about the violence and the fear and the running, thought about the people they'd lost and the scars they'd earned. "No," he said finally, "because it led here, to you, to hope, to this life. And I wouldn't trade this life for anything. Even if you could go back, could have your peaceful life without all the trouble I brought." Jack took her hand, the same hand he'd held in a church 25 years ago, the same hand that had held a rifle when it mattered, the same hand that had held their daughter for the first time. "Anna, you didn't bring trouble. You brought purpose. You brought meaning. You brought love." He kissed her hand. "Before you, I was just existing. After you, I started living. That's worth every scar, every bullet, every moment of fear." Anna leaned against him. "I love you, Jack Turner." "I love you too, Anna Turner." They sat in silence watching the sun set over the ranch, over the life they'd built together, over the home they'd fought for and earned and protected. And in that moment, everything that had come before, all the pain and fear and darkness felt worth it. Because they'd survived. They'd stood their ground when running would have been easier. They'd fought for what mattered when giving up would have been safer. And they'd built something beautiful out of the broken pieces of their pasts. Not because they were special, not because they were lucky, but because they'd chosen each other, and that choice had made all the difference.